Talk to me about the pricing, because that seemed to really catch anything that can move in price of 46%, which would be hundreds of millions of dollars. Did that happen in your network as well? Did you see this network-wide?
Definitely, definitely. Bitcoin's traditionally been very volatile as far as currency.
46% overnight? That's incredible.
Quite a bit, quite a bit. When I first got into it, it was 6 cents. I bought a bunch at 20 cents, and then we saw it, creep up to $1, reach dollar parity, and then in July of 2011, it hit $31, and then from there it went back down to about $2.
When I try to explain what Bitcoin is, and I can't, but I try to use the notion of the minting of the coins, of course, is so important, and the scarcity value. I think of it like prime numbers, where the first prime numbers were easy to get to.
Right.
But as they got bigger and bigger, it's harder and harder, and therefore the computing power, the possibility of mining them, becomes much more difficult. Is that the right kind of?
That's a fair comparison. It's more based on the amount of people that are doing it and the amount of power that's going into it. The protocol actually controls it. So if more people mine and more power is put into mining, it'll become more difficult to balance it out. And then if people start moving away from Bitcoin, it'll become easier to encourage people to mine more.
I've also read the suggestion that Bitcoin, because it's government-free, it's untraceable, that it's going to naturally gravitate towards those pieces of commerce that want to be government-free and untraceable. That is, drug dealing, I don't know, child porn, whatever kind of things. Is that the fundamental nature of this, or at least was that the first growth in the usage of Bitcoin?
I mean, I think you're going to see a lot of areas like adult entertainment where it's nice to have the pseudonymous nature of it, which is like people like PayPal for that reason too. You don't have to reveal your banking information or anything like that. You don't have to reveal a credit card number that someone can steal. I think in some ways it's actually a lot easier to track than cash. I mean, with cash, yeah, there's a serial number on there, but nobody follows that. With Bitcoins, there's some breadcrumbs. There's a trail for investigators to look at. So in some ways, it's actually a lot more transparent than cash.
Talk to me about the volume that you've seen and how that's changed over time. I wonder if an event like yesterday is people running for the exits, or if it's quite the opposite, where you've got people actually coming in and buying even more, recognizing it as maybe an opportunity.
Right, right. So, I mean, over the last couple of months, we've seen a lot more professional investors. Like my company, TradeHill, we're getting a lot of people that are calling up and they're saying, hey, I'm a professional investor out of New York. I want to get into this. I've heard about it. A lot of the VC community is really get into it. Originally, they were just kind of, they were looking at it and they're saying, should I invest in Bitcoin or not? Should I invest in Bitcoin companies? Now they're saying, which companies should I put my money into? So you're seeing a lot of professional traders, a lot of institutions, a lot of the VC community actually sinking their money into it, which is causing the price to rise a lot.
But it's a pure economic instrument, right?
Right.
I mean, I've read this compared to gold because it has no actual functional value, but merely the value someone else will pay for. But gold actually can be made into jewelry. Bitcoin, not so much.
That's true, but I mean, there's plenty of things that don't have much of a real use that have a value. If you have a Picasso painting, somebody wants to pay $20 million for it, it's worth $20 million. And Bitcoin is the same way. It's supply and demand. There's not anything backing it like there is, gold. There's not a physical, tangible object. But the fact that someone's willing to pay for it, and someone's willing to pay a little bit more than them, rises the price up. If everybody wants to sell it, the price will go down.
So I understand the speculators are changing from individuals to people with more money, professional investors, maybe even funds.
Right.
But what about the usage case? How has that changed over the course of the last 6 months?
So I think a lot of people are starting to use it for international remittance. For example, I paid a developer in the UK in Bitcoins. I sent it to him. It took less than an hour. He lost about 2% in the transaction. The bank was going to take 8%, 3 to 5 days, and then charge me $35 on top of that. Also, there's a company called BitPay. BitPay has something between 3,000 merchants, I believe, that people can actually buy things with Bitcoins. For example, WordPress now accepts Bitcoin. Reddit accepts Bitcoin. So there's a lot of real-world goods and services that are being added to the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Digital economy going to an entirely different level. Who would have thunk it?